All right, how's it going? It's Mr. Neil, and I'm getting into different music work, music software. I would say a DAW. Okay, I'm getting into this new music DAW software, and it's called Serato, and it's been all the rage. They actually been around a number of years, but I guess some of the updates that they've been keep doing to it, they've actually made it better. So anyway, I want to talk to you about putting your song project together in Serato. And so I've kind of been, dumbfounded as to how you put your music together. When you do the intro, do you do verse 1, then you do the change up, and then you go into line 2. It's like you really have to get used to that with Serato, because it won't make sense with the way you see it. Because you'll see this deal that says scene 1. And what's really important is you're going to get so many bars, but you have to, every change up that you make in your song, okay, you have to create a new scene for it. Because in other words, when you click and drag it onto the song track, if you take the same scene and you drag it behind the scene that you're using, it's a copy, because if you just have the intro, okay, and you drag that intro down, then you're gonna drag that intro again, okay, it's gonna be the same color. That's how you know it's the same. It's gonna be the same color. But if you try to make changes in that, because it's a copy of the original scene, if you make any changes, you're going to make changes in the other scene too. Anything that's a copy of the same color, let's just say, if you have the same color scene somewhere in your song, okay, and it's the same scene number, because each number is going to have a different color. But let's say if it's pink, okay, and you got scene number 3, but you're gonna make a copy of that. You're gonna drag it down. You think you're gonna make changes on it and not have it affect the first original copy. It's not gonna work. That's why I'm saying every time you make a change in your song as you go through it, you have to create a new scene. If you want to know where your song tracks is when you progressively go through your song, it'll be that bottom, feature, and there's an arrow. You click that arrow, and then it'll slide out. And when it slide out, you'll see the progression of how you're going through your song. You click the arrow, it'll retract, and then all you'll see is the instruments. And so you can take those instruments and paste it up to add to the scene, whatever instrument you're using, whether it's going to be flute, whether it's going to be sax, whether it's going to be pads, or whatever. Okay, it's going to be a different color, but that's what you got to do. Because if you copy another color somewhere along, the progress of your song, maybe you're toward the end of the song, but you take that same color. If it's going to be the hook, it's okay. But if you try to make it do something different and you change it, you're going to be changing the same color of the scene early in the song. You don't want that to change because that sounds good. But you make that you copy that same color and you put it along that scene, along the end part of your song, and then you make changes to it. You're going to make changes to the other one because they're the same color. And I'm telling you, it's weird. This might sound strange what I'm saying to you guys, but that's the way it functions. That's how it is. So each scene that you create with a different sound, if you're coming in with the flutes and the bass and all this stuff, and you're making different sounds, that better be a new scene. It better be a new scene, because if it's the same color scene that you just copying and pasting just to attach, to keep extending your song, and you make any changes in there, you're going to affect the other ones because they're the same color. And I think that's the best way for me to explain it. I never worked with a music software like that. So when I was looking at Serato trying to figure out how do I put my song together, I couldn't figure it out. It was like, what? Because I would copy the scene, and I would, copy it and then attach it to the next, because I'm trying to create the length of the song, right? And every time I kept copying it and putting it on the end, and I was making changes because I wanted to do a change up, it was affecting the other ones. I'm like, man, why is it doing that? It's doing it because you're using the same scene. You got to create a different scene. That's the best way I can explain it. It's to me, it's alien to understand it that way, but that's just how putting your songs together in Serato functions. Okay, so you'll find out how to get your instruments, how to put your samples in. You'll learn all that. I mean, that's a given. But when it comes to putting your song together, and you working your way through that song, you progressively going through it, and you making these changes, you better make sure those scenes are a different color. Don't copy and paste, the drums from the intro, and then you're gonna make changes there, because you do that, you're gonna affect the first one. All of a sudden, that intro ain't gonna sound like the intro. It's gonna be like, that ain't how the intro's supposed to sound, because you made a copy of it. It's the same color. You can't do it. You got to create another scene that's the color's gonna be different, even though it's gonna be the same sound, but you can change it to make it sound like you want it to sound without affecting how the intro sounds. I've never had to do that when I work with Mixcraft. When I was working with Soundation, these other ones that I've worked with, there was another software I used to do, but that's the way they are. They made sense how you put it together. Serato won't make sense. Serato is a different concept that you have to understand with those scenes.